Forgive me, with the floors out, I can't show you as much because I don't have a place to put the light. And I don't want my studio light to get all dirtied up. But this, I always thought was galvanized steel because of how it looked above the floor, but it's lead. In fact, about 60% of the cold water supply in this house was lead pipe. I've already got it disconnected from the street, and from the street to the rest of the house is all PEX. I'll show that in a little bit. And all this is disconnected from the cold water supply. Now, I'm going to get in here with a Sawzall and cut this out in chunks because lead pipe is very heavy. It's why Colonel Mustard was such a menace. Not much time has passed, and this is all out. This stuff cuts like butter. You see, I cut that little piece of PVC here as well. Next, they have these sink attachments just screwed into the lathe of the plaster wall on the other side. So I will not be replicating this, but it's time to get in here and take this bullshit out. So I'd filmed myself looking through the main and sub panels of the house's electrical system, where all the circuit breakers and stuff are, because I'm trying to make sure that now that I've removed some metal pipes beneath the house, that the ground to the electrical system has not been disturbed, that no grounds were being made to old plumbing. If I need to run new copper rods into the ground, I can do that. And I'll make sure that all the remaining copper pipes underneath the house are bonded now that I've disturbed that. And if I need to bring the service supply from the street, connect that to the house's bond, I'll do that. For people who do this, who watch this video, know that I'm taking all that into account as I go forward, and everything's going to be done to code. But some of the things I was saying as I looked inside the boxes, I don't feel comfortable putting that on the internet because people might think that, oh, this guy looked inside his service panel and he gave a very brief overview. So I'm going to look inside mine, because most people should never, ever even open up their service panels, let alone take the safety covers off. I've thought that maybe what I was saying might instill a sense of overconfidence in the wrong people. So don't open your electrical service panels, don't take off the protective covers, and certainly don't poke around inside to see what's up. I know what I'm looking at, but I'm not qualified to tell you how to do it yourself. So there it is. Let's move on to the other stuff that's less likely to kill you. Part of the joy down here in the basement, besides the fact that everything is trying to make me bonk my head, is puzzling out what's changed over the years. We got a galvanized steel run here, which is cut off. And I don't know what it used to connect to over there. I think a hose bib. I think that's an old hose bib supply that's been replaced with other stuff and just left in place. So all that stuff I want to cut out. It's a lot of clutter. It's a lot of weight to hang on these old wood beams. And it's really confusing. I want a very clean, efficient system when I'm done, and I'll map it all out. Here's a bit of the lead pipe that I've cut at each end. It's kind of hanging down. I'm about to cut this in sections and get it all out because we don't want to have that. Here is a bit of copper tubing connected to nothing at this end. It's just hanging in the dirt. I need to see what it is at the other end. It's tubing, not wire, because I can bend it really easily. Maybe it's an old fridge line. I don't know. I need to verify what it is before I cut it out. I've got tons of spaghetti like this throughout the entire space. Some of it's old telephone. We don't actually have a landline anymore. We've got a cable connection that we only use for internet. And we've got a home security system. And I don't know what's running on that. And we've got a doorbell. Those are the only small wires that we should see, are cable, some telephone connections. I expect that all to be bundled in one modern coax, not coax, but Cat 5 or Cat 6 kind of thing for the telephone style wire for the home security. I'll trace that back from the home security panel and find out where it's running. And then the doorbell. And I think I'll show you in a little bit. There's an old transformer mounted up on the wall. I think that might be for the doorbell. And everything else I'd like to get rid of, but I need to make sure that you can get rid of it first. You can see the two blue wires here. These are the 1/2-inch PEX. Right now, one's going to the kitchen, one's going to the back bathroom. This is the 3/4-inch PEX coming in. This is not permanent. I'm waiting for some parts to arrive so I can build a really nice manifold, one for cold, one for hot. It'll be here with a master shutoff valve, Zip, zip. Very easy, very neat. I'll show that. Did I already mention this is lead that I'm going to cut out and remove? I think I did. So you can see the 2 bits of blue PEX going back to the back. One of them is going directly to the kitchen sink. The other one through a coupler, a shark bite coupler, pressed to connect, kind of like this one, to the existing copper back there that feeds the back bathroom. Later, I will be going in, and anything like this, I'll be replacing with proper copper soldered couplers. But to get this done, so we have our cold water with no lead in it pretty quickly, I just got this shark bite slip on and another one that's just a straight coupler, because this gets me up and running. And the reason I had to put this here was because the geniuses at Lowe's or Home Depot or whoever had installed the refrigerator with its ice maker line had looked at this old lead pipe. Not this one, but you can't see it. It's behind a board right now, but it looks like this. And they looked at this bit of copper, and they used the little connector kit that goes into 1/2-inch copper and puts a little pinhole in here. And so they hooked up the ice maker to the hot water supply line. It staggers the mind, people. It's just unbelievable. So I had to repair that. It also left the entire 50-foot spool of 1/4-inch tubing going to the ice machine from here. I have trimmed that to give myself enough slack that, it won't have any stress on it when I eventually attach it up to that beam going back towards the fridge. But I've got a coupler right there with a 1/4 turn shutoff valve from the 1/2-inch going off to the 1/4-inch. So the ice machine will have clean, lead-free water that's not hot water for the first time in its life. Here you can see the copper to polybutyral connections. I'll be replacing these in the next day or two. I'll leave the copper, but the copper is going to go to PEX. And for right now, like I said, it's kind of a shark bite, and later I'll get in there with a soldered transition. Up here is more random spaghetti, most of which is probably not connected to anything that was originally intended for, but I need to be sure. And like I said, there's that transformer. Might be a step down for a doorbell. I'm not sure. You can see lots of the old electrical cloth-covered wiring, including this one here, that someone kindly duct taped to this piece of PVC and then let hang over this HVAC duct. The tube and wire stuff, seemingly mostly safe throughout the house. Eventually, I'll be replacing it all with modern jacketed stuff. And then they got stuff here where there's just no insulation left and there's bare wire. I need to make sure that's not carrying any voltage. So I'll be spending some time down here with my meter. There's a cable wire and there's more cloth covered. Basically, the problem I have is I want to get all this lead pipe out of the house. And it's running on top of boards like this. And these boards have all these spaghetti wires and antiquated, abandoned projects attached to them. So there's going to be a certain amount of caution involved. Down here, you can see that's where I made one cut. Down here, you can see where I made one cut. And then at the other end there is where I made that cut earlier today in this video. And that'll come right out. I'll probably leave the rest of this for much later. Not too much later, but I've got other things I've got to get done. But I do want to get all the lead pipe out of the house within the next month or so. Here you can see the new cold supply to the hot water heater. I'm using this 18-inch stainless, so the PEX stuff is well above the heat of all this. And it's got its own shutoff valve. And that is not a shark bite press to connect. That's a PEX crimp. So, 3/4-inch tees off to the hot water and then goes to everything else. And I'm going to replace this polybutyral stuff tomorrow, polybutyrene, whatever it is, with this pretty much the same stuff. It's going to have the same piece, the same shutoff valve, and I'll try to find a red handle for it. I can't find one on the market yet, but I'm sure it's a slip-on bit of rubber. And that'll be feeding the hot to the manifold that I'll be installing. But other than that, it's pretty much the same stuff. Maybe a 3/4-inch run of hot. Nice and clean, no leaks. That's the way we like it. All right, the farthest one there is a cutoff I made. That was an old hose bib galvanized steel connection. And this one was the lead pipe that was the entire supply for all our drinking water to the house. And here is the 3/4-inch PEX, which is coming in, and that's going to get supplanted, added on to soon. But for right now, it's a good thing. And it's got the master shutoff valve, and beneath that, the yucky lead pipe coming from the street, buried underground. I'll have to bond that to the rest of the electrical system at some point, according to code. Doesn't really make sense to me because it should be definitely earthed. It's running underground. A good 30 feet out to the street meter. But if the code says it needs some copper attached to it, I'll do that. I'm not thrilled that we have a lead supply to the house, but I'm going to try to mitigate that. And here's my plan. So first of all, I'm going to add a pressure regulator here. So I want to make sure the house doesn't exceed 60 PSI. And then above the pressure regulator, I'm going to do a split, and all the hose bibs, we got 2 on one side, 1 on the other, are going to get fed with 3/4-inch PEX separate from everything else. And then I'm going to tie into a water filtration system because I've got room in this area to put such a system with a tank. And hopefully that'll get lead and particles and fun stuff out of our water. But for right now, we still have the lead going from the street, but all the lead from this point to our glasses of water is gone. So this is a good place to stop for now, at least with the video. I've got a lot of work ahead of me, but I thought this was a good overview of how my weekend's gone. A lot of cussing and laying on my back in a crawl space and hammering at old beams right above my head, so every bit of dust since 1912 found its way into my nose and my eyes. And no, you can't wear a mask and eye protection in such a situation because it fogs up in about 2 seconds flat and you can't see a damn thing. Maybe that's just me. And to whoever invented the Sawzall, the reciprocating saw, you are my hero. You have made my life so much better. To the rest of you, thanks for watching.